We are live on YouTube.
I just want to check. Tom Peterson, are you filling in for Jason today?
I don't believe so. I think Jason will be in the call.
Okay. Roger, while we're waiting, my thoughts for the closed session is I have my a separate computer here. I can log on to that and you can transfer the hosting to that computer, and that way the meeting can keep running while you move into the closed session. Does that work?
Either that or I brought a second computer into the conference room so I could
okay.
do it from that computer.
Okay.
So I would just pause everything on the main computer here and then just do closed session right next to it.
Okay. All right.
Might be easier.
You've got it handled.
Will we still need to rejoin, guys, or are we staying on this one?
You'll have to join a separate meeting.
Okay.
I sent that link in with the packet, so you'll have to move into the separate one.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Krista, do we have a quorum?
No, I'm adding it right now. Yes.
Yeah.
I think we've got Alex on the phone. Well, he was. Let's see. Oh, yeah, he's on there. We're still not quite ready to start. And unless you feel like you want to start it over the phone, Alex, I don't know if you hear us. Okay, we'll hold off for now.
I just lost my video. Roger, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I've lost my video for some reason. I'm going to drop off and join back in.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh, I've got Alex on video here. Okay. You have the agenda in front of you? I can share it here if that's helpful. Have it up.
Yeah, if we've got a quorum, let's go ahead and start.
We do. We have Alex Jensen from Layton, Matt Dahl from Midvale, Paul Isaac from West Valley, Brent Hansen from Centerville, and Brenda Moore from Murray. We actually have Tom Peterson on from Brigham City, but he said Jason should be joining, but that's who we have present. Did I miss anyone?
Jason just joined.
Brigham.
Yes. So we do have a quorum. We're ready to go.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule to meet this morning. Let's go ahead and just jump into the agenda. The first item, other than welcome or approval of minutes for June 8th, 2020. Are there any questions regarding those or additions or deletions?
Move for approval of the minutes.
Okay, we have a motion to
Believe that
approve
was
the
Paul
minutes
Isaac.
from Paul. Yeah. Is there a second?
I'll second. This is Brenda.
I'll second that. This is Jason.
Okay. Jason, we already had a second from Brenda. Is that okay?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear.
No, that's just fine. It was almost the same time. So I have motion and second. All in favor of approving the minutes as written,
Aye.
say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, very good. Thank you. Next item is a discussion of the Edwin project, which is the wildfire interface project. Probably most of you are somewhat familiar with, have heard about. But Roger, I'll turn the time over to you to speak to that.
Yeah, so we had a pretty light agenda this month, so I thought I'd give everyone a little bit of an update on the Edwin project. This was a project that we started basically taking advantage of some free labor at BYU. They do capstone projects for the senior year in their information technology program there. And so it's a 2-semester thing where we can get a team of students dedicated to a project to work on something. And so I'd proposed this last fall. They worked on it over the winter. We tested a bunch of different cameras to see if we could actually detect fires. It was a pretty exciting project. We came out of that with an initial installation of one of these thermal cameras. We kept the budget pretty low. All of the cameras so far that have been installed have just been use cameras that we've been able to find for pretty inexpensive. But they're actually very capable cameras. I'm going to share my screen here with our websites. And here we go. So if you look at this is the edwinproject.org website. You see it's a Utopia Fiber initiative on here. This just gives information about what we're trying to do, describes the problem, the cameras that we have, how we can use these to see different, hopefully detect fires in advance of just someone seeing smoke and calling or something like that. On this website, you can actually I'll click on here. You can actually pull up the live streams of these cameras. So this is the first one that was put in Woodland Hills. It was installed at this location. This was just great because it was an extremely high-risk area and convenient for those students to get that first site up. And then this is the one on our roof at our office in Murray. And then the first one was really deployed to a location, strategic location for fires. Beyond the initial evaluation or trial was Layton, so we installed this at Valley View Golf Course. With all the wildfire attention and issues going on, we've gotten a lot of press on this, and so it's been really good to show what we can do with connectivity once we have it in place. And so obviously it's very nice to have fiber into these. This website's just showing thermal image, but we also have optical cameras too. We're recording these 24/7. And so we do have some pretty good data, and we hope over time as we get more and more footage on these, we can train some software with artificial intelligence to detect fires, to know what is a fire and what isn't. There's a lot of false alarms on this. If you can imagine, every time there's a sunrise, we have to kind of disqualify that period of time because there's a sun in the image, and that actually shows up as very intense readings. I can actually show you some of the technology behind this. This is just the public-facing side of this, but let me show you some of the analytics that go behind it. So I'm pulling up here this page. Hopefully you can still all see this. It shows both the thermal feed and the optical feed off of these cameras. And what happens is, if you look at the bottom left here, this is a histogram that shows the different levels of intensity that are in that image. So there's quite a bit of black where there's nothing, but then you have various levels across the spectrum of essentially what are temperature readings. I mean, it's visual here, but the idea is that even if you're looking at this thermal feed, you may not see something that looks like a fire, but it's all area in an image that would show up and be enough to trigger an alarm on. And so we have these different feeds being analyzed, and this is live information. We have to kind of tune the cameras here and there to get the right range. But you see this one in Murray is tuned a little higher, where you have some pixels that show up at a little bit more warmer intensity. I think because we're hitting a couple of rooftops and things, but it's pretty cool technology that we had this BYU team develop, and then we've done a little bit of contract work, and I even hired one of the team members as one of our engineers here, and they're focused on some other things, but also continuing to work on this, and feel like it's been a really good value for us. It's something that we're expecting to deploy more of these across the Utopia cities in areas that are high risk. So we've kind of we're working through, what might be ideal locations for these, where we have bench areas where there's a high risk, where maybe getting a little bit of a notice to our first responders can really help. And it can actually be significant. Even just a few minutes of advance notice could potentially save lives and property. And so we want to be right on top of that as much as we can. So it's a pretty exciting effort. We've done other smart city initiatives before. If you remember, we did the Purple Air quality system, and we continue to deploy those. So pretty much all of the huts and cabinets throughout the network have these air quality monitoring stations installed at them. And so we're the #1 provider of air quality sensor data in the state now. Now, some people don't like those sensors. They think they're not reliable, but at the same time, having so many of them across the state allows us to have much granular data than maybe 2 or 3. And so some people debate the value of the lower cost in quantity versus just a few sensors that are the EPA certified type sensors. But these are really cool. We've had schools that actually use our sensors and decide whether it's an indoor day versus an outdoor day based on their local sensor versus some statewide, it's like Orange Day or Green Day or something like that. We actually have readings that are live, available to the public down to the neighborhood level. So that was just another smart city initiative we had out there, and we're working on some others. Just trying to help take advantage of this network that we have in place. These types of applications would be very difficult without the connectivity that fiber brings. And so we're just excited to have the ability to get some additional benefit out there beyond just internet use of people's homes and businesses. So granted, that's where most of the revenue comes from. But there's a lot of, we see that this is not just about internet at home. This is an infrastructure for all purposes. And a city, owning this infrastructure in our model really enables these cities to benefit in other ways, like these smart city applications. So we're pretty excited about it. We get some really good press out of it. I don't know if you guys noticed, we have, I think it was something like 20 plus mentions on various news and media. Kim, do you know how many that we ended up at?
I think it was 17. We actually saw the ABC4 publish it again last week. So we're still getting some press off this project, but we are continuously looking at the opportunities for this project, and the press is they are salivating for this project. But because as of last week, I think we've had 1,000 plus wildfires in the state of Utah already this year.
Hey, Kim, Roger, this is Alex. Just a question on the press. How have the press been generally framing it? Have they been framing it or have there been attempts to drag in Utopia's history to this and say Utopia was this, that, and the other, but this is something good they've done, or is it? Or are they?
We're really seeing the press turn around. We even had when we announced Clearfield. We announced Clearfield last Thursday, I guess. The days are running in, and they don't mention any of the past Utopia that we're starting to see, which is great news. They're really just framing as this is Utopia, and this is the newest project they're doing.
Okay. Have we, Roger, on this project, or Edwin, or maybe Aaron, whoever's been involved in it mostly, as far as the contact, maybe Kim as well, have we had any interest from like the National Forest Service or the BLM or any federal or state agencies that really a lot of this interface area is under their jurisdiction?
So we've got interest from other cities and fire districts that have reached out saying, hey, how do we get one of these cameras in our area? But we haven't, BLM and the National Forest Service, they cover much bigger areas that are further away from the populated areas. So I think they said, hey, this is a really limited application of where it only applies to those high-risk areas, pinch areas where you have what we call the urban interface. Well, that's one of the areas we care about. We care about our cities. So it's very good from a city and local fire department perspective, but from a Forest Service or BLM perspective, they kind of just say, yeah, that's just a small area where this would even apply. And I don't disagree with them, but at the same time, I think they make their decisions largely based on whether these are going to move into populated areas. Sometimes these fires do start on those urban interfaces, because a lot of these are human-caused fires. So I think there would be value in them as we get more coverage, but initially I think they've kind of dismissed it a little bit just because of that. Their coverage area is so much bigger and covers so much rural area. But from a state perspective, I'd like to see the state potentially fund future phases of this as we identify, the Wasatch Front, maybe the Wasatch Back, and maybe some other high-risk areas where we do have cities and communities in high-risk areas. I think it would make sense for them to support an expansion of this. But we're still pretty early in that, demonstrating the value of this. To go after that, but I've started talking to some of the legislators about this. Like, hey, if we're talking appropriations and things for public safety, I think this is really good bang for the buck from a governmental perspective. That we could really get a lot of value out of getting some more cameras in place, and they're really, in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty inexpensive to do this.
Hey, I was just curious, maybe a stupid question, but were these on during things like the 24th and seeing fireworks? Can it differentiate between just a one blast going off versus versus an ongoing fire? You know what I mean? Yeah.
So actually, we were pretty pleased with how it performed relative to fireworks, and what I mean by that is the fireworks didn't actually show up as much as you would have thought. On the optical camera, you could see them really, really well. We just lit up the sky. We had some recordings that showed those. But on the thermal camera, the actual firework itself is a very small object of fire, right? And it's very quick and goes away. And so you could just barely see the fireworks as they were happening. However, if they were to start fire, it becomes a bigger area. It's not just a tiny thing that's on fire, but becomes a small area that has quite a bit of heat over a period of time. And I think that type of shows up really well on a thermal camera, but the fireworks themselves don't. Now, some of the fire departments would say, hey, I want to see those fireworks. I want that to set off an alert so that I know I can go, and use this as an enforcement tool when fireworks are being used when they're not out. I don't think it'll be effective for that. But I think when they do start an actual fire, it will be effective for that. So it's
fascinating. Thank you.
It's not the perfect tool to capture every situation, but I think there's enough situations that can catch that there's still a lot of value there.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That's all I got on the thermal camera thing, unless you have any other questions for us.
Are there any questions from the board? Okay, very good.
Can I ask who the Jeff was that joined?
Yeah, Jeff Acerson.
Jeff. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Good morning, Mayor. Thanks for joining.
You're welcome.
The next item on the agenda is a financial update from Laurie.
Hello. Let's see. Roger, in the, or Krista, in the packet, I have the.
Sorry, Laurie, did you share a document with me, or did you want to?
It's in the
share your
packet.
screen?
It's in the packet.
It should be at the end of the packet.
All right, give me just a second, then pull that up.
Hey, Roger, are you still on the VPN? Because you're a little cracked, like your voice cracked.
I am not on the VPN. I'm just on our office level. Let's see. UIA board. Oh, that's previous meeting. Krista, would you be able to report that the packet? My email is only pulling up just PDF packets. I've got the Word version, but I don't have the PDF.
Yeah, there's when you're down there, some cool stuff or something she needs you to run down to Karen.
Okay, I just re-forwarded the packet to you. And it's just at the very end of the packet.
Yeah. I think my search is just not working in my Outlook. I've got it now. Just a second here. Okay. And we'll jump down to financial updates. Is this the slide you want?
Yes.
All right.
Is everybody still there? Okay,
Yes.
I see
Yeah,
everybody
we're
now.
here.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, so this graph is the recurring revenue for the entire system, combined Utopia and UIA. This is through June 30 of 2020. And we are at about $2.25 million in recurring monthly revenue for both entities. Our average month-over-month increase in revenue is $40,000 per month, and that's the average for January through June. I know about 6 months ago, we were looking at an average month-over-month increase of 25 to 30,000. So the growth is substantial. On the next, do you have any questions on that one? Again, I think you're all familiar with this. The green line is total system-wide revenue, red line UIA, the blue line Utopia. So UIA revenue is about 1.6 million, and Utopia revenue is about 600,000. And then the next slide is UIA revenue. Again, we're just above 1.6 million. All of the bonds other than the UIA general bonds are still in the cap-I period. We're close to latent having debt service due. The Clearfield bond that just closed is about $60,000 per month. So we're still going to be below that $1.2 million in debt service payments until we issue the next UIA bond. And right now, the timing of that bond is still very early spring. With the closing of the Clearfield bond and the work that's going to be done in Clearfield, we may be able to extend that another month or so, but we will be using internal cash from about November until we close, and then we'll reimburse our internal cash from the bond proceeds. The next slide, I just put together a quick summary of UIA bonds. So as it has been mentioned, we closed the Clearfield bond last Thursday. The true interest cost on the Clearfield bond was 2.64%. It's the lowest of the UIA bonds. The rating on the Clearfield bond was A+. I thought it was interesting to look at the decreasing interest rates since we first issued the UIA bonds, the series 2017. A lot of this is dependent upon the ratings. You can see that the BBB- ratings are over 4 back in 17 and 18, and at 3.48% in 19. But the trend of the true interest cost coming down since 2017 and 2018 is has been great for us. The average true interest cost of all of our borrowings is 3.51%. The total UIA debt is about $215 million. The amount I've shown, that's not the par amount, that's the proceeds. So the par amount is going to be a little bit lower than that. We have quite a bit of premium, especially on the Clearfield bond. But we are doing really well as far as meeting the required revenue for, we've already met it for Layton and Morgan. Payson and West Point are well on their way to meeting the required revenue to make debt service payments. Everything looks great. I did have a couple of questions on the, when we went over the fraud assessment risk. I still haven't been able to talk to all of the finance committee members. The intent is still to pass a resolution naming the finance committee as the audit committee. That will help us in that fraud risk assessment, and also getting in touch with each of the cities to see if the board members have had that state auditor training, or if we are at least sending out the link to all of the board members so that they can go online and take that training. That's really all I have, unless you have any questions.
Thank you, Laurie.
You're welcome.
Okay, Raj, got your agenda. Next item.
Yeah, let me get back here.
So network
What do
update.
you need for an update?
Hey, Roger, your audio is a little muffled, at least on my end. I don't know if it is for others as well. I don't know if it's proximity or it's really garbled.
Yeah, is this any better? No? I'm dialed in over the phone for the audio, so I guess I can't blame our internet. It's just our phone.
Okay.
Maybe I'll switch my audio over to the computer. See if I can do that mid-streaming. Let's see. Right. I'm going to disconnect audio here for just a minute. I'll be right back.
All right, I should be back on audio. Is this better?
Yeah, that's much better.
That's actually using Utopia's bandwidth now. So for the conference room, it seems like it'd be better to use the conference phone here instead of the computer audio. But anyways, sorry about that.
Yeah.
So on the network update, let me flip over here to just our take rate report. I just want to make a few comments on that. We've continued to adjust our reporting, and so you should have all gotten this report sent to you. It's our subscriber report in a PDF format though, and this is our Excel version. I added in this chart here on the first page just so you can see a little bit of the trend from the actual numbers versus just looking at the graph and trying to figure out where you're at. I think sometimes people like to just see the actual number. So I just put the most recent 3 months of residential take rates in here so you can see those numbers. And things are great. You know, you say, well, we know that. We see the financial charts that Laurie presented, that month over month financial growth, obviously as a result of customers coming onto the system. As we look at the charts here overall, you know, we kind of surprise ourselves a little bit when we look at the data because the growth has been phenomenal. We thought maybe that coronavirus, you know, obviously a terrible situation that we were going to have a corona bump, but the growth has stayed strong even though we're several months into this. As we've continued to have over 900 sales a month, we were just looking at the beginning of the year coming into it, we were excited about 300 to 400 a month. I think we had maybe 500 as a maximum. And then this year we've already surpassed however many sales we had last year. And that was a phenomenal number, our best year ever. And so we could do pretty bad for the rest of the year and still have our best year ever. That's not what we're going to do though. We're going to continue to push and add customers. Continue
Well,
to
I'm not quite there. What do you need, sweetie?
areas.
Yeah, I'm just about ready to end it. So what do you need? Tell me.
Can you guys mute your, the board members mute? We can hear your private conversations.
Yeah, I just muted them other than you, Alex. So.
Okay.
So anyways, the growth's been very good. We're really excited about what's happening and providing more and more detail, trying to be very transparent with how things are going here from a subscriber and revenue perspective. If there's other details that you want for your cities, please let us know. But in that PDF that we're emailing out to the board members, you do have a city specific report where you can go in there and see how each individual city is doing. The new projects we've done, you know, just to pull up Morgan, you know, it's done phenomenally well. The Layton second half project has done really well. It cleared the revenue targets we needed to cover the new debt very quickly. Payson is trending very well. As you see this spike here as we've finished out a lot of new areas in Payson, we've seen those customers coming on. And so we still have quite a bit of time before the debt obligations on that second half Payson project hit. But the trend is ahead of where we need to be by this time. And we think we'll clear that easily. Same thing with the add-on projects of West Point. I don't have a chart for West Point because there's really only a couple months in there, but the customers are coming on very well and we're excited. So all of these add-on projects, we look at them and say they're all doing very, very well so that there will be no financial exposure either to those cities and their backstops, nor to Utopia and UIA. Obviously, we have those guarantees from the city to make sure that doesn't happen, but even so, we don't want to make those phone calls and say, hey, you know, I got bad news to report. You've made a guarantee on this project and you need to pay that. Fortunately, we won't. It doesn't appear that we'll be in that position for any of these projects. So things are going very well, and that's kind of the network update. We just continue to see those strong trends. And again, if there's other detail you want in here, I keep kind of adding other charts and numbers and detail and continue to expand that out. So please let me know if you want any more detail or even if it's just specific to your city. You know, we're happy to share that. And on our website, there's more information, you know, as we've made maps available to show where areas are covered and our schedule. We continue to stay ahead of schedule. So we see areas coming online a little quicker than what we had scheduled and forecasted out. You know, one of the big questions we get when we announce a city like Clearfield coming on board is, why are they announcing this city and they haven't even finished out Orem or Murray or some of these other cities? Again, those projects have not pushed us behind schedule. The schedule for the build out of the remaining areas is dictated more by the financing capacity. Again, we're planning a bond probably in the February timeframe of next spring, and that'll be kind of that next bond we need to finish out the remaining areas of the network. And we're continuing to make really good progress on there. Any city that wants to go more aggressive than that could do a city-specific backstop to get us a better interest rate, which is great. We like that. However, we've kind of felt that there's not a lot of political appetite for that among the remaining cities. At the same time, UIA is in a really good shape to do that with its own backstop. I mean, it does end up getting a lower bond rating and a higher interest rate. Like, Laurie showed that we've been financing those based on a BBB minus. But even then, the rates are pretty good right now. The cost of money on the markets is very good. And so, we're going into this next bond feeling like in a very confident position, both from should be able to get at least a BBB minus rating. We'd like to do better than that. We feel like we're being treated unfairly and deserve a better rating. But the feedback from the rating agencies mostly is, you guys don't fit into our boxes. They have lots of utilities, and then they have businesses, and they have all these different categories. And Utopia is pretty unique in the sense that we're kind of like a utility, but we're in a competitive space, and we're not retail, we're open access, wholesale. There's all these little things where it's like, well, because you don't fit our formulas, we have to kind of go to a lowest rating to make sure we're covered in our criteria, yet doesn't really reflect how strong the credit is. We've gotten that feedback from the actual buyers of the bonds. They say, hey, you guys are much better than what your rating looks like. And we do benefit from that. The more orders we get, the more interest we get from investors, we could still lower the yield to those investors and get a better interest rate. So I think we do better than what our rating indicates. I think we'll come in very strong into this next cycle, and we don't need that backstop from cities to get that financing. I don't want to say we don't want it, but I don't think it's necessary. Those types of things help us get interest rates that are lower, but it's probably not. I would guess that it's not worth the political fight, or not. I shouldn't say fight, but having to put that in place. We required of new city partnerships, but on the remaining areas of the UIA cities, we're in a pretty good shape to do that without any additional backstop. So that's just the point I want to make there, and that's the update I have. Just one other update. Sorry, I just want to say in there, you may have seen, there's been a lot of stories and press out there as we did Clearfield. It was a big announcement. We did also this fun video with Snazzy Labs to kind of just give an overview of Utopia. Snazzy Labs is he's a guy based out of West Valley City that has a YouTube channel with like 1 million subscribers. And so we did a video with them. I think it's had about 150,000 views or something like that, and will continue to grow. And so we're getting a lot of good exposure out there nationally as a result of that. Not that we have plans to go national with what we're doing, but it is driving a lot of attention to Utopia and the successes we've had. And I think we've got a lot of other cities locally that are interested in doing partnerships with us, and that can really benefit us financially, but also just in providing a greater benefit to more people out there as we grow and expand this. So I'm really excited about the attention and the progress that's been made from my perspective. I think the whole team here is pretty excited too about the good things that are happening. So anyways, I'll stop talking, rambling.
Hey, Roger, I have a question for you. Do we track in our reporting the number of subscribers month over month that are coming from the new non-initial Utopia cities, the Morgans, the West Points, Paysons? I think that would be interesting as a reminder to us who are the incumbent members of the benefits that are coming from those ventures. You know, so out of the 900 that we're averaging a month, do we know that 100 of those are coming out of the new non-initial footprints, or 200 or 300? We know, I know we're growing based on what you said before all across the network, but it'd be interesting to see what the numbers are that are being generated in these new cities. Again, because there's little risk to us and not cost to us that isn't being covered. It's a windfall to a degree. Does that make sense? The way I've framed that?
So the ones where it's an entirely new city are very easy. Those are in the graphs we share, because you just look at those cities and see what their subscriber rates are. But where they're a previous and a new city, you know, in the sense that you've got a latent specific backstop for the second half, and you've got a Payson backstop for the second half, those city numbers are mingled in our reports. Financially, we do track them because we need to know where those specific incremental projects are from a backstop perspective, independently of the original UIA bonds. So we could probably look at that, pull those numbers out and show that to you. I know we track them financially that way. I don't know that we have them reported that way anywhere, but we could certainly look at that and see how we can come up with a way to present that. But yeah,
I don't think it has to be complicated, but if you like, again, if you average 900, if you were able to say 200 of those are out of the new footprints, or, you know, non-originating cities, the next month 150 were. I don't want you to do a bunch of analysis. I was just curious, because they're bringing financial benefit to the overall organization and to the rest of us who are incumbent members. Just good to be reminded about that.
Yeah. And keep in mind, when you take on a new obligation that's covered by a new city, you know, they're backstopping the financial, the bonding of that project. And we say, hey, this thing is a break even when we get to the certain number of customers, where the $30 infrastructure fee we charge covers the cost, the financing cost of that project. But there's a whole other component of revenue that UIA collects, and that's on the transport side, where we charge the service providers for this, the transport for that customer. So even in a scenario where we were underwater, UIA would still be making money. I don't know if that makes sense.
Sure.
Because we're guaranteed from the city to cover any shortfall on the financing cost. But even that very first customer is an upside for UIA, because even though we're charging a fair price, we benefit from increasing economy of scale. I mean, we've more than doubled the number of customers on the system over about the last 3 years, but we haven't doubled the costs. You know, we've added some employees, but most of the employees we've added were just a shift from external to internal, and wasn't actually an increased cost. We've had some increase of employees, but you know, the largest number I mentioned that is our utility locating team, and we just used to outsource that, and we insourced that, and that was the biggest increase of employees. Other than that, there's probably been 10 employees of growth, something about that, and yet, you know, we've got a lot more customers, a lot more network out there. So we've been increased our economy of scale really well, and are adding those customers on at the full, you know, price that the original customers are paying. So our financial position benefits a lot from those new city projects and the customer growth out there.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Roger.
All right, let me get back to the agenda here. Big surprise, I got too many windows open. Here we go.
So before we go into a closed door session, are there any other items that any member of the board would like to raise or have discussed? Okay, hearing none, thank you. As indicated on the agenda, we need to go into a closed door session to discuss pending or reasonably imminent litigation, and I'd like to have entertain a motion to go into a closed door session.
I move that we go into a closed session.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Have a motion from Matt. Is there a second?
Second, Paul Isaac.
Paul, thank you, Paul. Let's do a individual roll call vote on that. So Brent? Brent from Centerville? Thank you, Brent.
Sorry, the spacebar didn't work.
No, that's just fine. Thank you. Matt? From Midvale?
Yes.
Paul from West Valley?
Yes.
Brenda from Murray?
Yes.
Jason from Brigham City? Jason, you there? Looks like he's muted maybe. Jason? Let's go to Mayor Acherson. Lyndon? Mayor Acherson? Leighton is an aye. Jason or Mayor Acherson? Okay, Jason just said he's trying to vote yes, so we can take that as a yes.
Yes. Mary.
Mayor, okay, thank you, Mayor Acherson. Looks like we've got everybody, Krista.
Yes,
I
yes, we
counted
do.
correctly.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. We're now in a closed door session. So Roger, turn the time over to you or Josh, whoever's going to make the presentation.
I think we have to,
Yeah,
we have to
everybody
leave this
needs to
meeting,
do
I
this.
think, sir, and then get back on another one.
Yeah, so there's another
Oh.
meeting invite you should have been sent for the closed session. So we'll pause this one and then we need everyone to leave this one and then go join the other Zoom invitation that should be called Utah Infrastructure Agency Board Meeting Closed Session. Should have that in
It should be included in your email that I sent your packet with, the closed session link.
Okay, I think we have, was it Laurie's account used to host that one? Because I can't join it. I'm trying to join it. So he just starts that meeting.
Hey, just as a
Okay.
matter of protocol, are we supposed to, we're not going to come back to this meeting. So can we leave this meeting then, and then after the closed session, it's over, right? We don't have to come back and take a vote to close, do we?
I think you technically have to open the meeting back up to the public and then adjourn the meeting in this.
So we need to
session.
come back to this particular Zoom meeting as well?
Yep, it's just going to stay running, I believe. Roger's going to keep it running on his, and then we're going to go into the closed session. Then we'll exit the closed session, come back into this meeting to adjourn.
I
A little
see.
bit of a pain, but that's how we've seen others handle the Zoom closed session situation.
We have done it in Centerville where we just say we're going into going into closed session with no intent of returning to regular session. And that seems to appease the state when we do that, but it's varying ideas on how to proceed. So
I like that idea, but I think we're past it. A lot of people have already left
trust
this.
yourself, you're good.
We'll pause this and adjourn in a little
Okay,
bit.
thank you.
I'm on. Think.
Or having everybody join in here. Yep.
Was that you, Kim?
No, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was.
That's in my office. We have men dropping things.
It sounded bad, whatever that was.
Everything's okay.
So it looks like we've got everybody back.
Everybody except for Jeff, Mayor Acerson. And it looks like he had exited
Yeah, mate.
early anyway.
Yeah. Okay, well, very good. We're back in the regular meeting. Are there any other, Roger, do you have anything or your folks have anything to present?
I think we're done, unless you have anything for us.
No, any questions or concerns from the board?
Oh.
Okay. Sir. Very good. Again, thank you for your time this morning and for all you do to contribute to the success of the organization. We're doing well, and it's because of the good board members and your support in the cities, and Roger, you and your team, everybody. So we appreciate the employees of Utopia very much, and you guys are the key to our success. So thank you for all you do, and hope you stay well and are doing fine, doing well. Good.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
betcha. Have a great day. You guys have a Utopia meeting following, right, Raj?
Yeah, in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Do we need a motion?
Yes, that'd be fine, Paul.
Oh, okay. I move that we close the meeting.
Okay. A motion is there a second?
Brant, this second.
Okay. Thank you, Brant. All in favor, say aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, we stand adjourned. Thanks and have a good day. Everybody be safe.
Thank you.